Hello, welcome to Critically Loud. Today we're talking about Willy's Wonderland. Let's
Yeah.
fucking do it.
Okay. Yeah, this movie is in case it's a lower uh people didn't pay as much attention to this movie, which I think is a crime.
Well, it wasn't like a big movie. It was it's an indie film, right?
Yeah, but it also has like Nicolas Cage in it.
Yeah, but do you know how many movies Nicolas Cage are in?
That's true. He's in a lot of
He's
weird
in like
movies.
7 a year.
Yeah.
Like no joke, he's in 7 movies a year or something crazy like that.
Man, that guy just works, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Good for him.
Like, yeah, it's like Samuel L. Jackson, but less talented.
Like Samuel L. Jackson, but crazier.
Yeah, and just so insanely inconsistent as an actor. It's amazing.
Yeah. Willy's Wonderland, for the people who don't know. So here's the pitch of the movie. It's like Five Nights at Freddy's, except the person that the animatronics are hunting is Nick Cage, and he kicks all their asses.
He is not to be fucked with.
Yeah, it's the whole trope of it, like the Watchmen quote. I'm not trapped in here with you. You're trapped in here with me. You know,
which a character does say about Nicolas Cage in this movie.
I knew someone was going to say it. I was like, okay, someone's got to say they're not trapped in here with whatever quote.
Yeah. I thought this movie was awesome. I also think that if I watched it a second time, I would enjoy it more or watch it with friends because I went in very blind. I knew it was a horror film, but I wasn't fully sure of like what level or what kind of violence it had.
Yeah, like bloody slasher or like, stalking.
Yeah, there's certain kinds of violence that really put me off of a lot of things. Like, for example, The Boys, which I really thought was, from what I watched, was a super smart show and really good.
I like it, yeah.
I can't watch it.
Really?
The violence is like gratuitous and like just kind of mean-spirited in a way that I don't really find like really pleasurable and enjoyable to watch in any way. And just stuff like that kind of puts me off. So I wasn't really sure what I was going into at the time, which made me kind of apprehensive through a lot of the movie.
Right, yeah.
And just like going in knowing what I was coming in for would have made my life a lot easier, I think.
Yeah, I watched the trailer beforehand and I also had seen a few clips, so I just kind of went in like, I know what this movie is and I know what it's trying to be, and it's probably going to be stupid and awesome, and that's exactly what it was. It's stupid and awesome.
I will say, even though I fuck with this movie, it's awesome. It's great.
Yeah.
It's insane. And one thing that I was worried about was like everything other than Nick Cage versus animatronics would not be fun. But everything else it works.
I think some of it does. Some of the teenage antics annoy me.
Yes, but the teenage antics, there's not a lot of it.
Yeah, exactly.
It is a very small amount. These characters have two big scenes before they're like put in danger. Yeah. And then all of the rest of the scenes are them getting the shit murdered out of them.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the thing. Like, it has the slasher trope of having teenage characters who you don't like. And while, the few scenes where they were there, I was kind of like, I don't like these characters. They are... I don't think anybody cares if we spoil this movie, but they are gotten rid of very quickly. That's also just how horror movies work.
Yeah, like as soon as 7 random teenagers show up in this movie, you're like, oh, they're gonna die.
Yeah, exactly.
They're gonna die.
It's the formula.
And then you still do have a final girl, kind of.
Yeah, no, yeah, you do. Well, because it's by law in a slasher movie, you have to have.
Okay, yeah, except for like even then, everything takes a back foot to Nicolas Cage.
It's true. Yeah, that's true.
And getting deeper into kind of what the concept is, like Kai said, it's Five Nights at Freddy's, but the guy who goes in is a fucking badass. And what happens is he like his tires on his car get blown out by like a road trap.
It's like one of those like the police things, like the spikes.
Yeah, police caltrops, I believe they're called.
Is that what they're called?
Something like that. Yeah, they blow out your tires. So he
Yeah.
gets picked up, and a guy says, "I can fix your car for this much money."
And Nick Cage and the town doesn't have any internet, and Nick Cage doesn't have the cash on him, so he can't, get it from an ATM. So the guy who offers him to fix the tires, he's like, okay, well, if you can't pay me in cash, do you want to pay me in work? And then there's like a zoom in on Nick Cage's face as he just like nods. Nick Cage does not say a single word in this entire movie, and it's amazing.
Yeah, he grunts. There's a lot of grunting within the second half.
Yeah, a lot of grunting and a lot of like things like he does a lot of but no words.
No words. It's fucking hilarious.
It makes it so much better.
Yeah. So he get, and the job it turns out he's supposed to do is he's supposed to stay the night in an abandoned, kind of like a Chuck E. Cheese style animatronic. What are they called? Like the overall thing.
That's there's got to be a name. Is like a kid restaurant pizza experience.
Yeah, that's kind of what I think of is like you've got an animatronic band that plays, and I've never seen one of these in person, probably because I think they died long before our time.
Well, they kind of like started to exist. They never really hit the big, they never really got big. There may be like a few places that still exist, but like the animatronics never really work because the only movement they would really do is they'd be holding the guitar and just like rotate. And like while
as movies have made clear, they're fucking terrifying.
Oh yeah. They died out because kids would see it and like sob.
And that's why they exist now mostly as just evil animatronics in movies. Like that's what Five Nights at Freddy's based its entire thing off, and that's what this bases their entire thing off.
Exactly. So this movie just is Five Nights at Freddy's taken violent,
Yeah, taken in a much cooler direction.
Honestly, this movie is definitely better than the long-awaited Five Nights at Freddy's movie. I'm calling it right now. It's going to be better than the FNAF movie.
It has to be. There's like one thing with FNAF is it was obviously an important horror game.
Yes,
but
for sure.
Fuck, the lore was so it always stood in the backdrop, and sometimes I've come across a video and they talk about it, I'm like, what the
trying
fuck?
To understand it is the biggest mind fuck that I've ever done. Like it is I've watched a ton of videos because I kind of want to understand it because it intrigues me, but God, it hurts my brain more than pre-calculus, and I hate pre-calculus. Like
yeah, this movie takes the evil animatronics route like as simple as possible.
Yeah,
but
the thing that's important about Five Nights at Freddy 1, disregard all the rest of them.
Yeah. The thing that's important about this movie is that Nicolas Cage gets hired to stay the night and to clean the restaurant.
Yes.
And the best part of this movie is that is exactly what he does.
Yeah, so let's just like he's okay, so to give like the setup, he's doing this job to get his tires fixed since he doesn't have the money. So he meets up with this guy who has the best name of all time. His name is freaking Tex McAdoo.
Yeah.
But he meets up with like this rootin' tootin'. He's like, I think Tex McAdoo's first line is literally like, "Hi, my name's Tex," like the state. He's like very like prototype, wearing a white cowboy hat, has a white mustache, rootin' tootin' Southerner. Probably racist, but anyway.
Yeah.
So they meet up and he just says, "All right, the job is that you're gonna stay here for the night. You're gonna clean up the place, and then when you're done in the morning, we'll bring you your car. The tires will be all fixed." And then so Nick Cage just nods, goes in, and that's his job. And then they lock him in there. And Tex says to like his buddy, he says like, "I hate hearing men scream," as a foreshadowing.
They drive away.
And they drive away.
He's the main character, and his whole deal is he's cleaning the restaurant and fighting the animatronics.
Yeah.
And then you have a group of teens who grew up in this town, and then we get into some of the actual lore of these machines.
Yes.
Which is overall very simple.
It is very I like the fact that they don't get too much into it.
Yes.
It's like just enough
this,
to satisfy what needs to be
yeah,
known.
it exists only to drive the plot forward.
Yeah.
And I think here is where we can go into spoiler territory.
Okay.
And there is not much to spoil about this movie.
Yeah, it's one of those movies. It's like Luca, where the movie sets up the beats and you know that they're going to be executed. There's only one thing that surprised me in this movie. Yeah. We can get to it when we get to it.
Yeah. So the idea of these animatronics is like back in the 80s, I believe, is when it started. A guy named Willy started this eatery, whatever the hell you
this
want to
like
call
Chuck
it.
E. Cheese like place with animatronic. This FNAF place.
Yeah,
it's a Freddy Fazbear's.
Yeah, he created his own Freddy Fazbear's called Willy's Wonderland.
Roll credits.
Yeah.
Cinema Sins, don't sue us.
Oh my god. Glad I stopped watching that channel.
I enjoy some of their stuff still.
Yeah, I don't know. It's fine. We don't need it.
Hi, welcome to Critically Loud, where we review different YouTube channels.
But Willy turns out he was a fucking crazy serial killer, and all of the people he hired to work at this place were also crazy fucking serial killers.
And they'd have kids go in and they'd have their birthday party in like the Super Magic Fun Room or whatever they call it.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, and then in the Super Magic Fun Room, they murdered the kid and their family in horribly gruesome ways.
Yeah. And after a while, the police started getting suspicious. They raided Willy's Wonderland, and when they got to the Super Magic Fun Room, they found that all of the crazy people had killed themselves in a satanic suicide pact.
It's like, yeah, and I think in a nod to Jonestown, you see one of them has a paper cup in their hand.
Yeah, I think the implication is they all drank some kind of poisoned liquid.
Kool-Aid.
Yeah, in like a kids theme restaurant.
Yeah, it's like it's a kids restaurant. It's either pink lemonade or it's Kool-Aid. It's one of those two.
Yeah. So shit. Brain stopped.
Yeah, I'll go. So why you transferred?
I got it. The ritual that they did turns out that it transferred all of their consciousness into the bodies of these animatronics.
Oh yeah, very Chucky-esque is what I thought.
Yes, a lot like Chucky. Except for instead of voodoo, it's Satanism, which is better.
Yeah,
less racist.
Well, yeah, it's exactly.
It's not racist. So that's good. And yeah, so they get transferred to these animatronics, and then the place closes down, and then for a little while it opens back up, and
under Tex
being opened up. Yeah, Tex McAdoo. And this is in like, if we're saying it's the 80s, this is in the 90s, and the movie takes place in the present or wherever. Yeah. We don't know the exact, but the animatronics were being really weird around the kids, saying things they weren't programmed to say.
Yeah, you have this great scene where like this fat like kid,
he
goes up to like the fairy animatronic and he's about to touch the boobs, and she says like, "You want to fuck me, fatty?" And
it's so, you're like, holy shit, goddamn lady. Yeah, so the place closes back down again, but it never gets destroyed. Yeah, and then we learn a bit later that's because they tried to destroy it, and the people that they had hired to do it were all brutally murdered.
They were
assumed to be by the animatronics.
Yeah.
And
so the townspeople, they ended up making the animatronics at Willy's, they just said, okay, we'll just leave Willy's to rot, just close up the shop, just nobody go in there. But then the animatronics, they needed food. So they started to like escape from there, and they would like.
I don't think they needed food. I think they just were blood.
Or well, they're just evil. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, they started killing people around, mostly by like chewing them up, which is why I said eating, because that's like their primary form of killing.
There's Night Guy, and there's Fairy Lady, and
there's there's Crocodile lady. Bro, tongue girl,
Gus the Gorilla. Who gets murdered in the first 20 minutes.
In probably the coolest fight scene in the entire thing.
The absolutely the coolest death in the movie.
Yeah, you got the coolest death, my guy. But so then the townspeople, they decided to make a pact with the animatronics, saying, we will, like, the main town's lady, who's the sheriff of the town, she says, we will feed you and you don't hurt us anymore, right? So then we cut to a montage of them doing the same thing they did to Nick Cage, of sabotaging the road and getting people to run off the road, and then saying, all right, well, we can give you a place to stay, or do you want to work it off, or just clean up the area, right? Like basically just trapping them in Willy's Wonderland. And then actually, I thought this scene was pretty well directed for this kind of dumb movie. But like, you know, one of the examples that you see is like there's this family that has a little girl, and the camera just keeps focusing on the little girl and on the sheriff as they're
and
like
this is
condemned
also
to
the
their
cold
doom.
open of the film.
Yeah, so eventually you see them all dying, except what's revealed later is the little girl that went with the family actually survived Willy's Wonderland somehow, and she ends up being the final girl, our female protagonist.
Yeah, she gets raised by the sheriff who's sacrificing other people.
Yeah.
And she wants to destroy Willy Wonderland at the beginning. And yeah, she's there and she wants her teen friends to help her.
Should we just go through the plot like step by step and then talk about it?
I think like we've gone over some of like the lore stuff, which I think is the more boring part of the movie. All of the teen stuff. The teen stuff, there's a chunk of the movie where a bunch of teens get murdered by animatronics. No one gives a shit about that. We want to see Willy. No, not Willy.
Or not.
We want to see
the janitor.
Nick Cage. His name's the janitor.
In the credits, it says the janitor. So
right. Yeah, we want to see the janitor.
Yeah. So okay. I want to just start off by saying the fact that like, okay, they have this really good repeating thing where like, okay, so you start off. Nick Cage, he's just cleaning up the place, right? It's super messed up. It's super dirty. It's super filthy. And he's just cleaning the place up. Like, he's just like a normal guy. And you get like these classic horror movie shots where his back will be to the animatronics and one of them will move just a little bit and then he turns around and it's like back where it used to be, right?
The way those animatronics first move,
that fucked me up. I hated that.
Like, dude, I knew it was some of the best, like, physical, just the most subtle movements, and it was awesome.
Yeah, I know. I was like actually saying like nope when that was happening.
Yeah, that was sick.
Yeah, no, it's very well done. It's the perfect amount of like shiver spine, feeling. But so you get those classic shots, and then eventually, in probably the only actual jump scare of the movie, Willy's cleaning up and you see the light shines on this ostrich animatronic and it starts like moving a little bit and then it cuts to a different angle of him and he's still cleaning up and it cuts back and the ostrich is like right behind him and that like got me to jump.
And then we get like, can I go over this?
Yeah. Do it.
Yeah. So the ostrich is right next to Nicolas, the janitor at this point. And Nicolas Cage like has a broom. And he sees it there, and it's obviously moved closer to him. So he just kind of like pokes at it with the broom, like, do. And he stares at it, and then the like animatronic. It's of an ostrich. You said that, right?
I think it's some sort of bird.
It looked like an ostrich.
Yeah.
It had like the long neck and the
beak and the short feathers.
Yeah. And then the ostrich is like, I'm gonna rip your fucking face off.
Yeah.
And then they fight, and Nicolas Cage, like, they have, like, a whole fight. He breaks the broom in half, beats the shit out of it, like, kills it. And this is the one where he rips out its spine, right?
Yeah, he, like, predators it.
Like, yeah, he does a predator to this fucking ostrich and rips out its animatronic spine with, like, oil everywhere. And these are the most violent deaths in the movie. The
animatronic deaths are insane.
And then he grabs all of the like body parts of this machine he just destroyed, throws them in a trash bag, cleans it all up, and the only reason why he figures out that he's locked in is when he goes to take out the trash to throw away the animatronic. He doesn't like want to escape. He just puts it next to the door and goes back to cleaning.
And he like one of the things he does is he takes off his shirt Because he was given like a Willy's Wonderland shirt, takes off that shirt, wipes off his face, puts on a new one, and he looks fine.
Except for he's got the duct tape on his chin from that.
Oh yeah, because he did get cut, so he has duct tape on his cheek. And then one of the other things that it has that it has him do is he takes breaks every couple of hours, where he'll go into the back room, drink like this caffeinated soda, and play this pinball machine that's in the back.
And each time he plays the machine, it gets progressively more crazy.
Yeah,
I fucking love it. But yeah, that's the excellence of this movie comes from the like consistency of the pacing of how Nicolas Cage works as the janitor.
The pacing is amazing in this movie,
and it leads to some just funny ass shit the whole time.
Yeah,
he like every time it subverts your expectations. He's cleaning the place. He finds an evil animatronic ostrich, murders the shit out of it violently, and then cleans it up and goes to take out the trash because he's still cleaning.
Yeah. And he's like chill the whole time.
And he goes on his first break, and then he goes to clean the bathroom.
Oh yeah, this is.
And then he cleans the bathroom.
Laughed so loud. So he cleans the bathroom. It's like completely immaculate, right?
Oh yeah.
And then he
this is so fucking good.
And then he walks out, and then he looks. I forget what he does, but for some reason he walks out of the bathroom. And then I think they do like a birthday song. It's creepy or whatever.
I think he gets called out by the birthday song.
Yeah, they said like, it's your birthday and we're gonna kill you or something like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, he goes back in the bathroom, and then written in blood says, it's your birthday. And he just looks at the mirror that's written in, and he just starts cleaning.
He goes straight off, wipes it down, and then it's like he goes to want to play hide and seek, and he busts through like 3 different door stalls. And then he fights the animatronic Gus the gorilla
in the coolest scene in the movie, in my opinion.
Yeah, it is an epic fight, like through door stalls and shit, and they're beating the shit out of each other.
And then at one point he like takes a toilet plunger and he like plunges it in his face and starts like beating his ass with a toilet plunger.
Gus the gorilla like knocks him into a toilet stall. The door closes, and then when he goes back, Nicolas Cage pops out with the plunger and plunges his face. And then it ends with Nicolas Cage like. He throws him onto a urinal, like mouth on the urinal. And then Gus is like, I thought we were friends or some shit like that.
Yeah.
And Nicolas Cage straight up fucking curb stomps this gorilla so hard. Just oil. Yeah,
there's like
everywhere.
Like the entire bathroom he just cleaned is like now black with oil.
Yeah. As he fucking wrecks this gorilla.
It's so good.
It's awesome.
Yeah,
and those are the first 2, like that's where we have like we got a 1 and a 2.
Yeah, it's setting up the norm of what seems to be happening,
Yeah, and
he
then
cleans,
that changes
he kicks
a bit,
ass,
Yeah, and then it goes a bit different from the like he fights one animatronic after another, because this is when the teen characters show back up at Willy's Wonderland.
The teen characters, their plan is to just burn down the building. They want to get rid of the animatronics. And
that doesn't fully make sense to me.
Oh yeah, no, it's dumb.
Well, because through the majority of the film, it kind of seems like if you're not in Willy's Wonderland, you're fine.
Well, no, because we're revealed in backstory that if the only reason that they're fine now is because they're giving Willy and his gang sacrifices for them to eat, because otherwise they do escape.
Yeah, but like, wouldn't they know if they were going to like burn down the Willy's Wonderland from the outside?
That's true. Not. Yeah, they should be able to tell. Because the thing is, like,
if they didn't, they like. I feel like someone
would have done it already. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. The only reason why they didn't do it before was because they could come out and kill them. It's a little weird. And the only reason why they can't burn it down is because they don't want to burn down Nicolas Cage inside the building.
Yeah. There's this great scene where like. The final girl, she goes up to the window, she's tapping on it. Nicolas Cage goes to the window, she's like, we have to get you out of here, we have to save you, and he just like looks at her and he just walks away. And he just keeps cleaning.
Yeah. And so this is when the first final girl character actually sneaks into the building. She goes crawling through the vents,
Die Hard style.
Yeah, and then the alligator animatronic shows up in the vents.
Yeah,
chases her through them.
She's able to escape, and then eventually goes into like this fairyland where she fights the animatronic fairy.
Yeah, she's freaky as shit.
Oh yeah, she's freaky. The only thing I don't like about the animatronic fairy is it's like super clear that it's just a person with a helmet on.
Honestly, I kind of like that. I like that it's just a lady with a helmet. What I like is that each of these animatronics look unique.
That's true. Yeah,
they all
design of them are great.
They all look different, and they look really fucking cool. Especially Willy. I think
Willy is amazing.
The character design there is like it's like a fucked up Sid the Sloth.
That's what I thought. I was like, dude, that's just straight up evil Sid.
Yeah, and like there's this great little like he's got one ear missing, which adds this really cool asymmetry to it.
Mm-hmm.
But that's later. So she gets like chased by this fairy lady in this really creepy scene where she's like scuttling around the trees.
Oh yeah, I hated
she like
that.
Swings at her and it's like, phew, and she like backwards crawls up a tree.
And then eventually Nicolas Cage, he comes in. The final girl says she was able to escape the fairy, but not for long. And meanwhile, the teenagers wanting to help their friend because they heard her scream. Yeah, when the fairy attacked her. So they go to the roof. Yeah. There's like a main other teen who's like,
I just called him Simp Man.
Simp Man, yeah, because he's like wants to make out with final girl. So okay, of the teens, there's the nerd, there's like the couple, and then there's the jock, and there's the simp. And
the jock. He's not a jock, is he?
I just assumed he was a jock because that was the only position not filled by like the stereotypical.
His thing was mostly his relationship with Simp Man, where he's like, "What the fuck are you doing, dude?"
Yeah, that's true.
The entire time, it's like, "What are you? What?"
Yeah, he's like trying to rescue this girl, and he's like, "We're going in the building with the evil animatronics."
Yeah, and then there's like the horny couple, which
we'll get to something later, but they have the only scene that I hate in this movie. I actively hate it.
Their characters are really fucking. It's like all of the other teens are fine. They have this really stupid and generic scene with them.
Oh yeah, we can get to it later.
But yeah, they go up the ceiling. They go up on the roof trying to find a way to come in and help her.
And the roof just gives out.
Yeah. Well, no, it's not just that the roof gives out. They're like talking. He's saying like, dude, what you're doing is not going to get that girl to love you. You've got to stop being like a fucking I'll do anything for you white knight. And he gets so fucking pissed at the guy who says it to him, who I think is he's the like dude in the couple. He like tackles him and breaks through the roof, and then the entire roof collapses and they all fall into a ball pit. So now everyone's in Willy's Wonderland.
Yeah, so now all the cars are set, everyone's in Willy's Wonderland, and the carnage can ensue. Immediately, Willy comes in with the girl and they try to get out, but Willy just keeps cleaning.
Yeah.
Even though like they're like all these teens are shouting at each other, and meanwhile Willy's just in the background. He's like scrubbing a table.
Yeah, and then he goes on break.
Oh yeah, this is one of my favorite bits because like all of a sudden, he gets his break timer, goes on break, and then shit gets crazy as he's on break.
Yeah. Well, before that, we have the scene where like they're doing an exposition of what's happening in Willy's Wonderland, and while that's happening, the stupid fucking scene is happening. I think we should
I want to cover the scene. I want to cover the scene in one go because I have a lot of thoughts about it.
Okay.
So I think let's get through most of the carnage and then let's reach that carnage last.
Yes. So while that shit's going on, we got a bunch of exposition about all that, like what we just talked about of like who Willy is and what these animatronics are doing.
It's where we learn up to them being killed by the cops, up to the suicide pact.
Yes, and we also learned that they were possessed. And that the place had closed down a second time, but for some reason it hadn't been bulldozed.
Mm-hmm.
So that happens, and then at this point, like the song starts up in the middle room again, and Willy starts singing. He's like 6 little chickens in the pen, and he's saying a bunch of stuff, talking about how they're gonna die.
And he's like, it's like he says like 4 roosters and 2 little hens,
Yeah, and then he's like, 5 little chickens, and then the night animatronic just stabs a dude in the back of the chest, and fucking kills him outright. And like, you knew it was coming because I was like, this is like a 500 bottles of beer on the wall.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah. You take one down, stab a dude in the back.
Stab it in the back. Yeah, so this guy dies and everybody gets separated. Meanwhile, Nicolas Cage is playing pinball.
Yep.
But where everybody goes is the nerd guy goes into this strobe room, which like why would out of all the rooms to go to, why do you go to the strobe room anyway?
I don't think he went on purpose.
I don't know, but and then the nerd girl stays in the main room to fight the knight, or not the nerd girl, sorry, final girl. And then the simp guy, the simp guy hides in the arcade.
Yes.
And then
let's talk about.
Yeah, okay. So earlier in the scene when the exposition is happening, this is where we learn about, the super magic fun room.
Yeah, we've gone over that.
Room. Yeah, I know. I'm just saying this is when we learn about that. So when we do, we see the horny couple. They, like horny couples do in horror movies, they see the super happy magic fun room, and the girl gestures to the guy like, come on, come here. And then they go in there. And so she says something like, wow, this is where they really did it. And the guy's like, oh, this is kind of creepy. And she goes up to the guy and she goes like, is it weird that this is turning me on? To which I was like, yes, it is. Yeah, this is a red sign.
What? This is like, it's like, she's like, oh, I'm so turned on by the Jonestown massacre.
By the Jonestown and all the dead children who died in this room.
Yeah.
And then
what the fuck, lady?
And then it leads into a sex scene in which they're, getting it on.
My favorite part of it is she's like wearing a birthday crown. And
she like, puts on the
happy birthday. And she's like, it's not my birthday. And he's like, well, I'd still like to see you in your birthday suit. They cut away. And when they cut back, they're having sex. And she's still wearing shorts and a t-shirt. Yeah. It's like, oh, great birthday suit.
All she really does is like unbutton her shirt so you see a bra.
Yeah.
But then, so they're having sex, and the way they die, obviously, is, and this honestly, the whole having sex in the room where a bunch of people died, that bothers me. This bothers me even more, where, they're having sex, and, the girl who's on top, she looks over and she sees the crocodile in the room, and she's like, has that always been there? And he's like, and the guy's like, oh yeah, it's been there, keep going. And it's like, what the, I know you're supposed to be dumb.
A crocodile. There was an animatronic crocodile in the place with the possessed ghost robots.
Yeah, exactly.
Watching you fuck. What?
Yeah, and then, no, she's literally like, she says a line like, babe, it's watching us. And he's like, well, why don't we give it a show? And then they proceed to keep having sex. And then
she's like,
it's moving. And he's like, what? And then it kills them both.
Yeah.
Because that whole scene is stupid.
It's fucking stupid, and it's kind of indulgent, and it's kind of gross.
It is the only scene where I was watching, and I was like, I hate everything about this. Like, yeah. Those types of scenes in horror movies, I cannot stand. It drives me insane.
And then nerd dude, he's in like a strobe light room, and he gets a very unceremonious death. He gets killed by like fairy lady and Spanish turtle guy.
I thought he was an owl.
No, he has a shell.
Is he not an owl? He does? No. I'm an idiot. I thought he was an owl.
I'm pretty sure. Wait.
Hold on. Let me look up cover art for this. Willy's Wonderland.
I really think it's a turtle.
Oh, you're right. It's a turtle. Yeah, you're right. See, okay, but it's the beak that's
turtle.
Yeah, it's the beak that's putting me off because it looks like a bird.
Oh, be a turtle. Whatever. Yeah. He's a turtle.
Yeah. Anyway, so he's a turtle. They like eat him to death, and it's kind of gruesome.
And you're like, okay, damn, whatever. I don't care about this character.
So then, basically, and then all the teenagers have died except for Simp Boy and Final Girl. Eventually, Final Girl is about to be killed by Sword animatronic, who killed one of the guys, and then Nick Cage's break ends, and he whoops its ass by decapitating it with its own sword.
Yeah, he just violently murders the knight, decapitates it, and then we get to, during this whole time, we have like a cop, and who came in to be with the sheriff, and then at this point, she gets a phone call from Simp Man, and that lets her know that Liv is in Willy's Wonderland. And this cop is like the adoptive mother,
and she she wants to rescue her adopted daughter.
Yeah.
So she and the other cop head over to Willy's.
Yes. So this is the scene where we learn what they did and how they made a deal. And while that's happening, we're also getting this scene where this frog is trying to say that they're sympathetic or something.
Oh yeah. So there's another animatronic one we haven't seen before, I don't think, or at least one we haven't seen move before.
Yeah, one we hadn't like fought or interacted with yet.
Yeah, so she goes up, this frog lady goes up to the simp guy and she's like, I know you're there. Look, I'm not like the other ones. You can trust me. I just want to be released from this prison. And so the simp guy trusts her and he like steps out of his hiding spot. And then Final Girl and Nick Cage show up to help the guy. And then he's like, no, it's okay. She's trustworthy. And then she's like, yeah, and I can help you bring me with you or something. Like, and I can bring you with me or something. She kills him. She
sticks out her tongue and snaps his neck in like a really unceremonious and lame death.
Yeah, it's like, this is like, this was the
okay.
main teenage character other than the Final Girl. And it's just, and he's down.
Yep. Gone.
Yeah.
Fine. Cool. Let's get back to Willy kicking ass.
Yeah. Well, okay. No, because then comes the funniest scene of the movie.
They're getting ready. Like she kills this dude, and then Willy and Final Girl like square up, get ready to fight.
Total Avengers shot, right? Yeah. It's super epic.
And then this entire time, whenever Willy like goes on break, he has an alarm on his watch, and right as they're getting ready to fight, we hear beep 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 beep, and he just walks the fuck away.
No, he gives her a knife. He gives the Final Girl a knife, and then he just like shrugs and walks away.
He walks away, and then we get like, this is pretty deep into the movie. So at this point, when he's playing pinball and drinking soda, he's pretty into it. He's like,
and he's like dancing around. There's like lens flares everywhere.
Yeah. This is the one movie where I'm okay with the amount of lens flares in it.
This movie utilizes lens flares very well.
Only movie. Any other movie, any other J.J. Abrams bullshit can suck a dick.
I like lens flares, okay? I think they're cool.
But this movie, I'm cool with it. It's just the overuse sometimes. And these aren't like your generic lens flares. They're not like wide shot, dramatic.
Well, it's because they're natural. A lot of lens flares nowadays are digital.
And so he's like playing the shit out of this pinball game, and then Frog Lady and Final Girl are like fighting, beating the shit out of each other, and it gets pretty close, right? Like,
the Frog Lady. The Frog Lady's about to kill Final Girl.
Yeah, and then Nicolas Cage gets off a break. He grabs some like what the fuck was that?
Was it like like a stool or something?
No, he grabs like some wire or some shit. Remember?
Yeah. It's like a nozzle,
a cable.
Yeah.
And then he comes back, fucking throws that shit, wraps it around her neck, and then just like
just throws her against arcade machines, like the scene in Avengers where Hulk grabs Loki by the foot.
Very similar. And then he drags her out into like a hallway by the neck. She's still alive. And then we get two other animatronics like square up on him, and he just bam.
Yeah, he just punches them both in the face, and they go down.
Keeps walking. And then this is when the cop shows up at the like scene, and she holds up Nicolas Cage with a shotgun. She has the cop that she brought in from out of town take Final Girl into the car and drive her away.
And she cuffs Willy, and she says, she cuffs Nicolas Cage, and then says to Willy, he doesn't represent us. His actions are not ours. I'm so sorry that this happened.
Come get your shit. Get your meal. And then she goes to wait outside for him to die. And the Final Girl gets driven away with the cop dude. And then this is the part where she's like, "You don't understand. He's not trapped in there with them. They're trapped in there with him." Yeah. And then so she's waiting. And then Frog Lady and Fairy Girl show up, and Nicolas Cage is handcuffed. And this motherfucker stands there, does like a Fonz, kicks the jukebox. It starts up and it starts playing. I forget. It's like some kid song.
Yeah, I know. I don't remember what it was exactly. But...
and then proceeds to lay the fucking smackdown on these animatronics.
Yeah, and he like his hands are tied behind his back. He like goes to the fairy lady and like crushes her face with his thighs.
He like
and then
and she's,
what does he do with the frog lady? I forget.
I can't remember what he does with the frog lady.
Point is, he kicks the frog lady's ass and murders her.
Yeah.
And he's able to get out of his handcuffs. I forget how.
Yes. I also forget how.
Does he just like overpower them and just goosh? I think he might.
That's what I would assume that he does.
I think that's what he does.
Shit. But yeah,
that's true. That part of the movie's a blur for me. I don't know why.
Yeah, there's a cool fight scene, and then while this is happening, Final Girl is trying to convince the cop to turn around. And he's finally like, you know what? I'm gonna do the right thing. I'm gonna make the right choice. And then Tito the Turtle comes in with his claw, just grabs him, drags him out of the car, takes the keys, and then she pulls a shotgun out on Tito. And he's like, he pulls the trigger and he's like, oh, unfortunate, it's empty, and he holds out 2 shotgun shells.
Yeah.
And then she proceeds to beat the shit out of Tito the Turtle.
Yeah, she just like beats him with the shotgun.
He's like, no more, it hurts.
He's like,
please,
no mas. Por favor, no mas.
And then she starts walking back, and this is when we get to like the final part of the movie. And what happens in the final part is he kills all of the animatronics except for Willy.
And Willy's the last one on the stage, and he cleans the entire.
Well, wait, no, there's one part before that. Yeah, right? Yeah, wait.
No, I'm pretty sure
When's
he cleans. He cleans it all. Then he, because they didn't lock the door behind him, he takes out the trash.
Yeah, he cleans it all. He goes to take out the trash, and then the cop lady's still waiting there for him to. She's like, "Oh, you have got to be fucking kidding me!"
Yeah, she's like,
and then he goes, throws
fuck.
out the trash, and then Nicolas Cage looks at her, and he just goes,
he just like
goes to walk back,
waves.
Like, no, fucking not doing this right now. And but there's a part where, and I can't like remember, it's right before he goes to take out the trash. There's a part where he goes on break before all of this though.
Oh, right? Yeah, no, you're right.
Because there's a scene where he he kills these 2 animatronics, and then he squares up on Willy, and he's staring at him, and the Willy's not moving yet, and then the break beeper goes off, and then he goes in.
Have like the best like
he
pinball
plays
scene in the movie.
Greatest pinball game of all time, and he's like going,
yeah, there's like full music happening. He's like dancing.
Nicolas Cage is in this scene. He is he is going wild, like so into it. It's great.
I started dancing with him when I was watching, and I was like, hell yeah.
And then he goes to take out the trash, waves at her, and then cop lady comes in, and Willy is no longer in the like front stage anymore. He was when he walked out, and now that she's holding Nicolas Cage shotgun point again.
Yeah, she's walking him back into the place.
Yeah, she's like, "Come kill this guy."
And she's like, "Willy, I got your dinner or whatever."
Yeah, I've got your dinner, Willy. That's what she says.
Yeah, and
then like, the lights go out and then they come back on, and Willy's standing behind cop lady instead of Willy, and he just straight up, and she's like, no, and he just smacks her
in twain,
top half of her body up. It's not even a cut, it's just like bam, and like her just tears the top of her body up, the bottom part,
slaps her, torso's gone.
Yeah, and then we get like a Kill Bill blood spurt from her lower
and
torso.
Like that kill, because most of this movie, other than the animatronic stuff, is pretty tame. So she got like bifurcated, and I was like, "Whoa!"
Yeah,
it was pretty good.
Yeah, it just fucking smacks the top of her chest up, and then Willy and Nicolas Cage have like their fight, and in this fight, this first one, Willy lays the smackdown on Willy. Nicolas Cage,
almost kills Nick Cage because he Willy keeps has these like really sharp claws and just keeps clawing at Nick Cage, ripping through the Willy's shirt.
Yeah, and then he's beating the shit, like he's beating him on his head, and then he goes into the ball pit.
Yeah, and then he doesn't move, and Willy assumes that Nick Cage is dead.
Yeah, and he leaves him for dead, and then Willy like crawls out of the ball pit, goes in, and we should have been talking about this whole time. This entire movie, Nicolas Cage has these purple sodas.
Oh, I said there's caffeinated.
Yeah, we
sodas.
talk about him, but like this is his. I feel like he would die for these sodas.
Oh,
He has
yeah.
one every single break. The only thing he grabs from his car at the beginning of the film is these sodas from his trunk, and at the end of the movie, like he crawls out of the ball pit, goes to the room, grabs all of the sodas, throws them into a sack, ties together the 2 broomsticks he used to kill the ostrich at the beginning, and then goes in to have the final fight with Willy, and he just fucking beats the shit out of him.
It's so
murders the hell out of Willy the Weasel, like knocks the whole animatronic skin off of his face.
Yeah, you're like cheering at this point if you're watching.
Yeah. And that he kills Willy.
He like rips his head off at the end.
Yeah, he like rips his head off. And then in like the aftermath of the movie, which is fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
Tex and Tex McAdoo
and the driver guy.
Yeah, the guy who had said he would fix his car show up, assuming that Nicolas Cage is dead. And then when he looks into Willy's Wonderland, he sees that it's fully clean.
Like it's pristine. It's absolutely beautiful in there.
Son of a bitch. He walks in. He like Nicolas Cage holds out his hand, and they did fix his car. They tuned it up too. And Tex like sadly, because he thought he would be able to keep the car, hands the keys over to Nicolas Cage, and he walks out. Final girl shows back up after having like walked away to try and get back to Willy's Wonderland. And Nicolas Cage gets in the car, and then Final Girl, he like looks at Final Girl, and Final Girl gets in too.
And
I guess.
And then as they're driving away, you get this other scene. So Tex and the driver, they sit in their car and they're talking about now that the place is clean.
We should talk a little. We do see a little bit before that. Fairy Girl is not dead. She like crawls out of the dumpster, crawls around. She sees the gasoline that they were going to use to burn down the building. And then we get a whole scene where Tex and this guy are talking, and they're like, it's finally over. I might actually open this place back up again, get a mechanical bull. And then we see the fairy like on the back of the car. She's like, the whole thing's covered in gasoline. She has a lighter and she's like, thank you for coming to Willy's Wonderland. Drops that shit, blows up the entire car with her in it.
Yeah, and it's like this massive explosion.
It's like, great. Comeuppance. Yeah. And like they see like Nicolas Cage sees the explosion in the rear view mirror of the car as they're driving away. And
then as they're driving away, they see Tito the turtle. And
Still
Tito the
alive.
turtle like looks at the car coming and goes, oh shit. And
fuck. Gets blasted through. And they drive off into the sunset.
And we close off with a very cartoonish, like, closing in on the ring, like the way Looney Tunes end.
Yeah, and I think it says like come again to Willy's Wonderland or something.
Yeah, there's like an animation ending.
Yeah, and I was like, you could make a sequel to this movie.
Well, that's what I was surprised by, because I didn't think Tito the Turtle was gonna die. That's the one setup beat that I didn't expect, because I thought, most movies set up for a sequel nowadays, especially horror movies. They've been doing that forever. You'll see the end. At the end of the movie, Freddy's not actually dead. He's like hiding in the mirror or something.
All of these motherfuckers are like killed.
Yeah, I thought what it was going to be is they drive off and then you see like Tito's foot step in the corner or something. Yeah,
but like Tito is not he couldn't carry that. I thought Fairy Lady could do that.
That's
Fairy
true.
Lady, Frog Girl, not anyone else, I don't think, other than Willy, of course. But
Willy has to die.
Yeah, I think. But you could also do like they were ghosts possessing robots.
That's true. Yeah,
they possessed robots.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So overall, this movie, I give it a 9 out of 10. I had a lot of fun.
I want to watch this again, like all of us. Get everyone together, go watch this.
Yeah, this would be a good night with the boys, sitting.
So much fun. There were a couple moments in this movie that I thought were really weird, that I felt like they were implying something more was going on. like the first time Nicolas Cage and Final Girl see each other, like when he's in the car getting the ride and she's getting arrested, like they look into each other's eyes. I'm like, do these characters have a history or something?
That's what. Yeah.
And then there's a similar scene when Final Girl was getting like she got arrested at the beginning and she got handcuffed to a water heater, and then the other girl in the group shows up and she's got like a bobby pin, and the way she shows it off and the way they like connect for a second, I was like,
yeah,
oh,
she picks
are
up.
these gonna
Well,
be
I
characters?
was so sure what was gonna happen was the final girl was gonna, like, as she's leaving, toss him the bobby pin. Like when
Yeah.
he gets cuffed, so that way he can pick the
Oh,
lock. That's what I thought was gonna happen, and it didn't.
What? It's very interesting because I thought it didn't really seem like the other girl was like the horny lady until like the scene where she's getting horny in the room with them.
Yeah, that's true. Because I liked the teenage characters up until the scene on the roof.
Yeah,
honestly,
Well, yeah, I like the scene like where they're smoking and he's like, I grew this myself, the nerd kid, and he's like,
what?
I call it no clue. How much THC is in it?
No clue.
Yeah. Yeah, they were nice. My thought were like, of the people who I thought I was like least likely to die is Final Girl, then maybe Simp Man, then maybe the other girl, because I thought they had some connection, but then it kind of like all of them just devolved into
the stereotype,
and that's fine. Like, as the faster they're out of the movie at that point, the better, and they get them out pretty quickly.
That's true. Yeah, I just kind of like, I don't know. I was excited to have teenage characters to root for, because in almost all horror movies, I never root for the teenage characters. Yeah. And so these ones at the beginning, I was like, I really like all these characters. And then as they're being killed off, I was like, I fucking hate all these characters.
Yeah, like I really wish they would have stuck with and established this idea of like these people grew up in a town when they watched all of these adults turn a blind eye to like some of the most horrific shit ever.
Yeah. Well, especially that's something, a lot of teenagers can relate to, because that's what we're living through right now. We're watching.
Yeah, and it's obviously more sinister.
Yeah, it's an extreme version of what is actually happening right now.
In some ways it's more extreme, and in some ways it's less, depending on like what kids and what adults you're talking about.
That's true. Well, okay, I don't know. I'm not sure how much more extreme you could go for letting animatronics eat your children.
Politics. If your kid's looking at politicians,
okay.
It's looking at your parents.
But yeah, this was a solid movie. Very
fucking awesome film. So much fun to watch. Would be a great watch with friends.
Definitely, I recommend you watch this movie. It is on Hulu if you have that. I don't know if it's anywhere else, but I know
get some friends together to watch Nicolas Cage assault animatronic robots.
Yeah, that's true. You will have more fun with this movie if you're with a group of people. Which we can do now because COVID is not over, but
except for and there's talk about how vaccinated people should be wearing masks again because there's a Delta variant.
Yeah, the Delta variation. Be safe out there, people. It's crazy. But this has been Critically Loud, a Little Schemers Film Club. Thanks for joining us as we talked about this crazy fun movie. So next week we'll have another movie, and anyway, all right, we'll be. This has been the podcast. Yeah, see you next week. There's Gus's Hellboy video essay is going to be uploaded this Saturday. Keep an eye out for that.
Yes.
Until then, outro.
Bye. Check out our stuff.
Thanks for coming to Willy's Wonderland.
Yeah.